Hey guys, welcome back to No Nonsense Politics. Today we've got an election prediction for 2020 between Biden and Trump. Um, the Democratic nominee is essentially going to come down to Biden versus Sanders. Now, if the Democratic convention screws Bernie over the same way they did in 2016, then the nomination is going to go to Biden. So if that happens, then I believe this will be the scenario that we can most accurately forecast at this time based off what poll information we have. So let's start with some safe Democratic states. We've got states that the Democrats traditionally do well in all along the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic as well. And then over into Illinois, Minnesota, I think would be pretty safe for the Democrats in 2018, or 2020, excuse me, and along the West Coast too. So that leaves the Democrats with 192 fairly safe votes to start off. And now let's get into the Republicans. Republicans, I think, could do pretty well in some of these Midwestern states compared to if they went against a candidate like Bernie Sanders, for example, because Biden's appeal really doesn't resonate much with the working white class. So that being said, I think Trump could do pretty well in states like Indiana, Kentucky, West Virginia, Tennessee, and then all along the Deep South, where we traditionally expect a Republican candidate to prevail. Iowa is an interesting one because uh, it has been considered to be pretty iffy in recent elections, but again, Biden's appeal I really don't think would resonate with Iowan voters as much as someone like Bernie Sanders. So we're going to give that to Trump. Probably likely. And then continuing on to the red wall, we've got all these different states. Same thing with Nebraska. I Someone like Bernie Sanders, I think, could definitely clinch that second congressional district, but for Joe Biden, I really don't think that's in his realm of possibility. So I'm going to give the whole thing to Biden. Then we got all these states over here in the Intermountain West that traditionally go pretty strongly for the Republicans, and that leaves them with 132 fairly safe votes. And yeah, let's get into some votes that, or some states that might be a little bit closer than these safe ones. So for the Democrats, states that would be closer but still pretty likely would include New Hampshire. If Hillary won here, then pretty much anyone can expand on that, considering how much Hillary was disliked. Also in states like Virginia, again, Hillary won here. I think a Biden-type candidate could do well with considering the state's demographics and such. And also in the same thing would occur in Colorado, New Mexico, and Nevada. All three states that Clinton carried in 2016. Yeah, as well as Maine's first congressional district and Maine at large. I don't know why I didn't have this filled in earlier. Yeah. And now let's get into some of the likely states for the Republicans. For the Republicans, we would likely see states like Iowa, as well as Ohio, because Biden really doesn't appeal to the white working class as much as someone like Bernie Sanders. And same thing, or not same thing, but I don't think Biden would be able to do too well in Texas, again, because he's not from this region of the country. Same thing in Arizona. We did see a very close Senate race in Texas in 2018 and an actual win for the Democrats in 2018, but midterm elections usually aren't the best indicator of the presidential elections in coming years. So based on what we know so far, I'm going to be giving Arizona slightly to Trump. Yeah, and let's get into some even more contested states. States like Georgia. Joe Biden, obviously, with his appeal, could do very well in the southern states, high African American population, but Georgia went to Donald Trump by, I believe, 4% ish, 5% in 2016, and that's a pretty difficult margin to make up. So I would give this definitely closer than in 2016, but still slight edge to Joe Biden. Excuse me, to Donald Trump. And then some states where I think he could do decently well in would be Pennsylvania, Michigan, would be a little bit closer than Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, I'm going to leave that as a toss-up for now. So as of now, we've got three states and then Maine's second congressional district up for grabs. So I would be giving Florida narrowly, and I repeat, very narrowly, to Joe Biden. Of course, the Republicans did do phenomenal here in 2018, but with Joe Biden's appeal to older voters and African American voters, Florida would definitely be in contention in 2020 more than it was in 2016. And Trump only won it by around 1.2%, and the right candidate can definitely overcome that, as we saw since Barack Obama won it twice. However, states like North Carolina, I think would definitely be a lot closer, but than they were in 2016. But still, to recover from more than like a couple point margin is pretty difficult, even for top candidates of any party. So I'll give this as a tilt to Trump. And that leaves Maine's 2nd congressional district, which again went to Trump pretty significantly in 2016. So I would give that also a lean towards Donald Trump. And the one state to rule them all, Wisconsin. It doesn't matter at this point, obviously, because the Democrats have already won at 297. However, I do think that despite what you see in a lot of election predictions, Wisconsin could narrowly go to the president, because we saw, or as we've seen in previous elections, these three states, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, Wisconsin is consistently the most conservative, and you know that Trump's going to be really pushing his campaign in this area, and if Trump is able to pull off one win, I think it would be in Wisconsin. So I'm going to give that narrowly to him, and that finishes off our map with 297 for for Joe Biden and 241 for Donald Trump. That's all for today's video. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, or personal attacks, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.